My name is Maya, and this is the story of how I finally broke free from my abusive husband, Daniel. I used to think love meant forgiveness. Every time Daniel said he was sorry, I believed him. I wanted to. When we first met, he brought me flowers, held my hand like I was something fragile. But somewhere along the way, his love turned into control. He started deciding what I wore, who I talked to, when I could leave the house. I told myself he just cared too much. I didn't see what was really happening until it was too late. The first time he hit me, I remember how quiet the world became. I remember the sound of his voice shaking as he apologized, swearing it would never happen again. I wanted to believe that man still existed, the one who smiled at me like I was his whole world. But the truth is that man was gone. Each time he lost his temper, the person I fell in love with slipped further away. When I found out I was pregnant, I thought maybe things would change. Maybe the baby would soften him, remind him of the love we once had. But the night he came home drunk and shoved me because dinner wasn't hot enough, something inside me broke. I hit the floor, clutching my stomach, terrified for the tiny life growing inside me. That was the moment I knew I couldn't stay. The next morning after he left for work, I'd packed a small bag. Just a few clothes, my prenatal vitamins, and the little money I'd been hiding. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely zip it shut. When I stepped outside, the cool air hit my face, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. It was freedom. I walked for hours until I reached a women's shelter on the edge of town. When I stepped inside, a kind woman looked me in the eye and said, "You're safe now." I cried harder than I ever had before. That night, lying on a thin mattress, I rested my hand on my belly and whispered, "You'll never know this kind of pain. I promise." Weeks later, my daughter was born. I named her Hope because that's what kept me alive when everything else fell apart. Hope reminded me that I was more than his anger, more than my scars, more than my fear. Now, every morning, I watch my little girl smile in her sleep, and I know I made the right choice. The cycle ended with me. I chose freedom, and I chose love, the kind that doesn't hurt.